Ball lightning is actually a chase of lightning where the electrical leader had actually made a little circle in on itself, and the energy gets stuck and it makes a little circle around on itself. And while it's doing this, it pulses light, and it does this till the energy figures out somewhere else to go, or it dissipates into heat and frictional force and such things as it's making these little rotations. But it'll do this for a solid 5 to 20 seconds, meaning that it hovers in the air for 5 to 20 seconds. And it's kind of a weird, creepy phenomenon that's actually become more common in the last 15 years. So with that said, there's some safety things that we should remember, which is we shouldn't be putting electronics up to our faces, like talking on our phones or even playing on our phones in our hands, while there's lightning storms occurring. So just always kind of be aware with what's around us. So going on to thunder. Thunder is the rapid heating of the air around where the light and electricity is being released. And it's being released and it heats, and it actually heats up so fast, cools off, snaps back, and it breaks the sound barrier, creating an echoing sound. So that's what thunder is. As I mentioned, it's occurring and it's really hot stuff. So it's 30,000 degrees Celsius. This is intense heating, which is causing this rapid expansion. And then there is often what we call rolling thunder or rumbling thunder, where we hear multiple crashes of that thunder. And that's because the lightning and the thunder are being released at the exact same moment. So that's stage one. Light energy will travel faster than the sound energy. So when I see the lightning go off with my eyes, I can then count the seconds between when I see the lightning and I hear the thunder. And being the difference between light and sound, the speed difference is 330 meters per second. So every second that goes by, there's that difference in my distance, right? Because that's going to meet up for, or 1/5 of a mile. So for example, if I see the lightning and then I start to count, and I count to 5, and then I hear thunder begin, not the first rumble, when I'm talking about that first rumble to come in. If there's a 5-second difference, I know that that lightning strike took place 5 miles away from where I am, right? The reason why I hear it rolling is because of that distance again. So the first sound that will come to my ear will be the one that's at the shortest distance away from where I am, which means I'm hearing the actual base of the strike come in, where I will then hear a secondary crashing, and that will be the topmost parts of the strike when it occurred, coming in from the sound distance. So that's all about traveling sound. But once again, all those differences, the light and the sound, as it rolled through, as it goes crash, 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 crash throughout, they all took place at the exact same moment. And I'm just getting the differences in their speed of travel when they finally reach my ears. It's also a great thing to always keep in mind that it's 1/5 of a mile for every second, for safety reasons, so that you know how far away you are from the storm. Because you just never know when you'll be in a strange situation, on a boat, in a car, out in the woods, where you just can't get that safety. Which brings us into safety. There's about 70 people killed each year by lightning strikes in the United States. And there's certain practices that you can follow when lightning is occurring that will keep you safe. The first one is to take cover, but specifically in a building. Don't go stand under the tall tree, right? And keep in mind that you want to be in what's called a safe structure, and I'll go into that very shortly. Don't get yourself up on top of the rooftop or the hills or in high areas, and that's because of that positive streamer. All those positive ionic activity is at the very peak of things. They're even at the peak of your head, which is why they tell you not to run in a thunderstorm. Because if I start to send out a positive streamer, which I have my positive ions up here, so I send out a positive streamer. If I start to run, I actually elongate my positive streamer because the top of my positive streamer stays kind of where it began to reach from. And then I run away and it just makes like the thread long. It's like unraveling a thread. So I create a really long positive streamer, making an even better chance of connection to a lightning strike of the leader. So the actual leader that's coming down, right? The lightning leader that's coming down can make that positive streamer connection. Which is another thing. Do not be near or in the water when a lightning storm happens. And I know people think that's funny, but it's important to not be anywhere in or near it for multiple reasons. When lightning strikes the water, it doesn't penetrate down through the layers of the water. It actually hits the water and then pools out, spreads out on the surface of the water. So the most dangerous place to be is on any surface area of water. And unless you're submarine, you're really not going to get down deep enough to be in a safe zone. So just get out of there, right? Most common places for lightning strikes to occur daily. We've already seen this, but it's always good to review. And right here down by the Gulf of Mexico. And that's just because of those seasonal summer, spring, early fall rainstorms that can occur, as well as other weather conditions that are incredibly common. The most common who's at risk to be struck, obviously those who are working outdoors are the most common to be struck by lightning. And the lack of protection in those outdoors also puts you at risk for being struck by lightning. The highest strike and fatality risks are, number one, golfing. So don't be out there standing a metal pole in your hand. That's just not intelligent, right? Water sports, camping and picnicking, and it kind of depends on if where you're located, your ability to survive, and then hiking, which this one's really tough because you're often in remote regions, and so if you're struck by lightning while out, like hiking backwoods, it's a very difficult thing to get help in those situations. So your location does matter. Indoor safety facts. There's three main ways that when you're in a sheltered structure, you can get struck by lightning. The first one is directly striking the object itself. So the house itself gets struck by lightning. Another way is to have it something nearby get struck, but have it extend into the structure of the home through the wiring or piping of your home or through the ground itself. So the ground is also a place you don't want to be near the lightning storm if possible. When you're inside a home, there's some simple tips. One of them is avoid contact with anything corded. You don't want to be attached to the electrical item. But with that said, even being near it, because electricity can jump. And so the electricity can jump if it's surging through the wall, through the air, to something like a phone in your hand. So just don't goof with electrical items during an electrical storm. They're very short-lived. Remember, the actual electrical part of the storm, the lightning strike part of the storm, only lasts 5 to 25 minutes at most. So this is a short-lived thing. Just, relax. Take a breather in life. Put down the electronics. Another thing is to avoid contact with the plumbing. Don't wash your dishes during the storm. Don't get in the bath or shower. Don't play with the water in your house either, take a break. And then another thing, don't go brushing your face up against like windows or doors to watch the storm. Stay back. You really shouldn't be on the porch if you can. If it's really that close to your house, you really shouldn't be, that close to the storm. Get back. Stand back in your house, pull up the lawn chair across the room and look out the window from a distance, Just be safe. Better to be alive, right? As far as effects on strike, on locations. Now, if you live in a place that's very common to have lightning strikes, like if you live in the Carolinas and you're in a newly built home, there is ordinances in place that require those homes to have electric rods, so lightning rods in the home, which is a grounded line wire, which comes up off the top of the house and goes down into the ground, so that if the house gets struck, it'll most likely hit the line and go directly to the ground, so it won't damage the home. But if you don't have that sort of thing, and there's no place for that electricity to discharge when it creates a strike, it will wreak havoc on the home itself. And so it can cause things like fire It can move through the home and burn out or blow out walls. This is